We have a brain that helps us, our bodies to survive. And so basically we learn how to get along and we learn how to manage our lives and we learn to eat at the right moment and get collaborate with other people. And this development of the brain uh, can be really thrown off when something happens and you're at a complete loss about what to do about it. And what causes you to be in a complete loss is usually a state of terror, of like, oh my God. And, and your whole system collapses. And um, if you raise babies, you see it happen all the time. Little kids have terrible events all the time. You see kids being extreme distress. And if you're a cool parent, you pick up the kid and you rock them, you sing songs to them, you feed them, and before too long, the kid is calm again. And so the natural way in which people learn to regulate themselves is through each other. But if there's nobody there for you, and particularly if the source of your extreme distress is the very person who is supposed to be there for you, then it really starts affecting the growth and development of not only your brain, but also your personhood. And you start, you at the center of the brain, the limbic system, as neuroscientists, know that nobody talks about it as much anymore. But there's a neuroscientist at NYU called Rodolfo Linus who really mapped this out and said, in the middle of our brain is a map of the brain. And the map of the brain is a predictive organ. And that if I sit in a TV show and I suddenly start doing weird stuff, that sooner or later somebody's going to cut off the camera. Or if I start yelling at Benjamin, sooner or later Benjamin is going to yell back at me. And so I know that certain actions have certain consequences on the basis of what I've learned. And if you learn somewhere along the line that something may suddenly happen to you and you'll get raped, you'll get destroyed, you get made to feel completely helpless, your brain starts getting ready for something terrible to happen. And you start spending your energy on trying to control yourself before that energy, that explosive emergency part of your brain blows up and you become a defensive person. You spend a lot of time trying to keep control of yourself. And yet the moment that primitive part of your brain, which basically has no cognition, has nothing thinking, there's an automatic animal type response, the moment it feels like, oh my God, it's happening again, you start acting as if you're getting hurt, as if you're getting assaulted, etc., etc. When that happens, you react excessively or you shut yourself down. And not only does it do terrible things to you, in that you start feeling like I cannot control myself. People are doing terrible things to me. I get beleaguered. So you start really getting a very negative idea about yourself. But the world around you starts shunning you because you react in a way that other people don't react. And you become angry, but other people don't become angry, or you shut down. And when people are dancing and suddenly you behave like a terrified person. And so your whole social environment starts reacting to you like, let's not get involved with this person. So it has major effects on your personality and on your friendship patterns and your social patterns. That's the outside thing, is people start shunning you, but the inside thing is that you start shunning yourself. And you think about yourself, I'm a defective, I feel very ashamed of who I am, and that I have these reactions that I cannot control. And then you start compensating for it and being excessively nice to everybody to make up for the fact that you have lost control at some point, or you start avoiding people, or you go live by yourself and you start drinking because you can no longer trust yourself. But at the core is that you get stuck somewhere, and that the part of your brain that is in charge of time doesn't know that the threat is over.
Yeah.
And so the critical issue of overcoming it is to get that sense of time back on the line and go like, oh yeah, okay, I was really brutalized as a kid, or I was raped and it was terrible. It was terrible what happened to me. But today I'm talking to Benjamin on Zoom and it's okay. Nobody's raping me, nobody's attacking me, and I can focus on the present. But when you get traumatized, a large part of your mind is always ready to go like, when will it happen again? And are they going to do it? And can I trust myself? Because I cannot trust either my own system or the people around me. As Westerners, we think that we're rational human beings. Of course, our history completely contradicts that we are rational human beings. When we have been brutalizing each other and doing terrible things to each other since time immemorial, but our basic notion about ourselves is still we are rational people and we can work things out. And that when we think that we are in charge of ourselves and can control our behavior. The reality is that about 3/4 of our brain is in the back of our brain that you have basically no control over, and that's in charge of your body. We have a brain in order to steer our body and take care of our body. And so at some point, you need to go to the bathroom. You can say to your primitive brain, don't be stupid, don't waste your time going to the bathroom. But when you need to go to the bathroom, you need to go to the bathroom. And when the primitive brain says, I'm hungry, I need to eat, before too long you have to eat. And if you have to sleep, you have to sleep. And you have to breathe. And so basically the whole big part back of your brain is there, just like your dog and just like your cockroach, is there to steer your ways through the world. And then as humans, we got a little frontal lobe on top of it to explain what we do and to understand what we do. It's a marvelous part of the brain. I wouldn't knock it at all. But the problem is that if you, let's say, like Benjamin, if you happen to have been molested by somebody who has a Dutch accent, now you talk to me and you feel threatened and angry, triggered by my accent. And you can say to yourself, don't get angry with the guy, don't get freaked out by him, because he's a reasonable guy with a funny accent. But the back of your brain is impervious to that rational stuff. And you will have that intense reaction to, let's say, my accent or any number of things. And much of the time, your frontal lobe will not even be able to understand why you freak out so much. Yeah. And that only when you go into therapy, you go dig inside of yourself, oh, the reason why this guy freaks me out is because he just talked like that uncle who molested me who had his accent. But these are automatic reactions that come from that map that gets created for us in the back of our brain as we grow up. Yeah, it's not only limbic, it goes even deeper than that. You go into the brainstem, that arousal reptilian brain. And as you know, when people get really, really traumatized, they can become extremely freaked out, extremely angry, very out of control. And then, of course, what happens is that we have these systems where our nervous system communicates with each other. And so we have this mirror neuron system. And here you're sitting in front of me and you look really nice and peaceful. And so I go, oh, and your nicefulness and your peacefulness really becomes part of me. And the kinder you look and the sweeter your voice is, the calmer I feel and the safer I feel. But if I start hearing some tension in your voice, and a little crinkling about your eyes that you get frightened or fearful, I pick that up and I start mirroring your response. Mm-hmm. Before too long, we'll be fighting with each other because that primitive part of our brain gets activated and our frontal lobe will find all kind of excuses why I should hate you. But the back of our brain, the survival brain, is there to help us to survive. And it's very powerful. And so the moment that back of the brain gets the feeling of like, better get out of here or you're going to get killed, your frontal lobe can work like crazy to say, don't do it. But the there's enormous power to that back of your brain. And so what we also slowly discover is that the engine of all this is in that survival part of your brain. And then what we discovered, although people have discovered it over and over again in various cultures, is that if you help the body to feel safe, the mind starts feeling safe also. And, I had my great lesson about that in South Africa when I hang out with Bishop Tutu for a while. That country was about to explode, and Tutu, Mandela, all those people, they knew like we're going to be born in a country like India that's going to explode the moment it's all over. And so Tutu and the other guys, but Tutu more than anybody else, took it upon himself to try to help people to feel calm and not live by their trauma. And I saw Tutu at work, and it was spectacular. He sang with people. He danced with people. He moved with people. He prayed with people. And just having these people's bodies move together gave you that feeling of safety and containment. There's nothing cognitive about it, but there was a sense of synchrony and safety and pleasure that came through rhythms and movements. And what to me has been interesting is that when you travel around the world, is that people around the world most people have traditions in response to terrible events. People move, sing, and hold each other. But that somehow disappeared in Northern Europe, except during a national tragedy. You get together in your cathedrals and you sing, "Oh God, our help in ages last." And when you sing together, you start feeling calm again. But psychotherapy has never really bought into that.